At about this period, 33, 34, the kulak class is being liquidated in millions of peasants are dying, starved, or being deported by Stalin. 33, 34, we're in the midst of the 5-year plan, or the second 5-year plan, I can't remember. But in any case, millions of people are dying in the Soviet experiment. If you had known that, would it have made a difference to you at that time, to your commitment to being a communist?
This is a sort of academic question to which an answer is simply not possible. I don't actually know that it has any bearing on the history that I've written. If I were to give you a retrospective answer, which is not the answer of a historian or something, I would have said probably not.
Why?
Because in a period in which, as you might say, mass murder and mass suffering are absolutely universal, the chance of a new world being born in great suffering would still have been worth backing. Now, the point is, looking back as a historian, I would say that it was probably not the sacrifices which were made by the Russian people were probably only marginally worthwhile. The sacrifices were enormous. They were excessive by almost any standard and unnecessarily great. But I'm looking back on it now and I'm saying that is because it turns out that the Soviet Union was not the beginning of the world revolution. Had it been, I'm not sure. After all, do people now say we shouldn't have had World War II because more people died in World War II than died in Stalin's terror?
So what that comes down to is saying that had the Radiant Tomorrow actually been created, the loss of 15, 20 million people might have been justified.
Yes. This is exactly what people said about World War I and World War II. Most people have ended up by saying, we think it was wrong in World War I. Very few people ended up by saying, we think it was wrong in World War II.
But isn't there some sense in which the Radiant Tomorrow can't, in principle, be built at that cost? Because it can't then be a Radiant Tomorrow, because human beings have memories, and what they remember is desolation.
In the first place, I think, you see, a Radiant Tomorrow was rhetoric. It was the rhetoric of the people that I believed in, too. That's true. But it was pure rhetoric. We didn't believe in Radiant Tomorrows. We believed in a world rather than no world. We hoped that that would be a far better world. We hoped that it would be, quote unquote, a perfect world in which, you know, in some of us, when you're young enough, you believe that there wouldn't be any unhappiness. There wouldn't be any unhappiness in love in this new world. But that isn't true, even if rationally one knew that this wouldn't be the case. Nevertheless, the real secret of the whole business was, if you believe you are living in a world which is crashing about your ears, your choice is a future or no future. And it was that. If you remember, and I quote it somewhere in my book, the famous phrase by Walter Benjamin about the angel. Huh?
The angel of history.
The angel of history, you see. That what the angel of history sees as he moves backwards into progress is precisely the ruins that are being accumulated by the process of history. So, in a curious way, even though we, as communists and other socialists, if you like, were committed to an upbeat view of the future, we really living through the period in which we knew we weren't living through a period in which all you have to do is to push the right kind of button and turn the right kind of switch and everything's going to be lovely.